Good day everyone! For today, I am going to share with you my chosen novel, Ang Bata nga Dili Matulog by Macario Tiu. So the feminist lens is the literary lens that I use for this piece, and you will learn more about it as you watch the rest of the video because I'll describe it based on what the piece is all about rather than in terms of how it applies to a specific text. In fact, I explained the feminist lens as a whole. Okay, so the main idea of the narrative is how domestic abuse perpetuates itself and affects a victim's mental, physical, and the last one is the emotional health. So it serves as a powerful reminder of the increasing prevalence of domestic abuse in society. So this would encourage women to reconsider and internalize. Always remember that. This would encourage women to reconsider and internalize the same scenario they may be facing right now, which could, in return, influence how they will approach it in the future. So it also highlighted how being under the influence of alcohol makes one mentally insane. So and once it takes control of the mind, it frequently results in other issues like demotivation, unfair vexation, and the last one is the family problems. So these are significant societal problems that are still unresolved. Always remember that. Still unresolved problems. So to make his work remarkable and enlightening for the audience, Macario in some way took advantage of the unsolved questions in his neighborhood because, as what I have mentioned earlier, these are the significant societal problems that are still unresolved. Even before that, women are simply viewed as being less significant than men. And now, they are perceived as being weak and without the right to express their opinions. So making it more difficult for women to fight against patriarchy or hold powerful position. It can be inferred from the story from the novel of Ang Bata nga Dili Matulog by Macario Tiu that Tinang, the main character, suffered domestic violence at the hands of her husband Berto. When her husband's aired, Tinang's portrayal of a typical mother and wife showed sympathy for them and a willingness to forgive them. Okay, so let's proceed to the evidence 1. Si Berto mangayog pasaylo kaniya. Mitulo ang tiunay nga mga luha sa pagbasol. Muluhod pa gani kini sa iyang atubangan. Musaad nga dili na mo inom bisag usa ka tulo sa tuba. Okay, so for the sake of her children, she is motivated by love and must accept her husband's wrongdoings. But it takes a lot of strength to break out once one had enough. Since Tinang's children are still young and in need of maternal guidance and love, her decision to leave her husband and separate from them was not an easy way. She could no longer tolerate domestic violence. So, she is resolved to flee. Evidence 2, taod-taod miingon ang bata, papaaway mama, tubag papa. With that, this gives a hint as to how the entire narrative would probably go. So we might assume that Bing's father harassed her mother in this scene because she claimed that her father had slapped her mother. So when I first read this novel and this phrase, I assumed that this novel would center on Bingbing's life. But as it continues, I realized my first assumption was incorrect because this novel focuses on Tinang and Bingbing because they are the main character. Evidence 3. So this line, the line when Minda said, "Sus nang Tinang, madayon na gid ang pagbulag ni ma'am ug ni sir." So this emphasizes that the person that they are talking about is experiencing domestic violence that Tinang also experienced. And then she realized everything that they are talking or what they are talking about based on her own experience. According to LAGSA 2022, there were approximately 5,339 occurrences of women becoming victims of violence nationwide in the first half of 2022. So in this day and age, there is legislation protecting women who are the victims of domestic violence or the other types of abuse. So thus, a pertinent instance like this should be looked into. Okay, so let's go back to Tinang's life. So since her children are still young and in need of motherly care and love, Tinang's decision to be free from her husband and leave her children is not an easy one. So it has come to be widely recognized as a serious violation of human rights and a significant public safety issue with serious consequences. She can no longer tolerate domestic violence, so she is resolved to leave. So Tinang, on the other hand, fled rather than report her husband. After that, Berta's action turned into Tinang's nightmare because there are things that will make her feel frightened and triggered the trauma. Wherever she goes, the trauma that has impacted her emotional, mental, and physical state will always follow her. So recovery from trauma does, in fact, take time. Women and children are particularly at risk from domestic violence since the abuser's unrestrained behavior and emotions can have an impact on them. So men and women should hold equal amounts of power in intimate relationships. So one ought to be able to predict their behavior and emotional state. Women should also be acknowledged and granted the same rights as males. This tale proved that an abusive husband is to blame for the pain of every woman. Men are overwhelmed by their superiority because of the dehumanization of women's rights and freedoms, which also contributes to society's fragmentation and division. Regardless of a woman's skills or place in society, she is viewed as a tool and an object. Regardless of a woman's skills or place in society, she is still seen as a punching bag and an object, as Tinang discovered. So women and their relationship should be seen as an integral part of it rather than just a showpiece.